I'm Paige Hulsey. Thank you for joining us to Turn the Page with Paige, where we uncover the story behind the bedtime stories that children are enjoying. Imagine experiencing rejection from the moment you're born. That real-life experience was actually the inspiration behind a new children's book, The Remarkable Red Crow. It features Rusty, a red crow born into a family of black crows who reject him. So he flies around the world meeting animals hoping to join their families. But does he ever experience that love and acceptance that is so important to all children? Diane Kline is here to tell us more. She is the co-author of this new book. Thank you for being here.
Oh, hi, Paige. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, before we talk about this new book, I want to talk a little bit about your own story. This is your first children's book, but you've long been a writer.
It is.
Share where you are in your career now and what you're up to.
Well, the biggest thing for me was that I had a column in the Post-Dispatch called Quirk Out Crazy Things Women Do to Stay Sane. And it was all about all the nutty things women do during the day that we understand each other, but men don't understand it at all. But I'm actually retired from a career in public relations and marketing.
So why did you want to go from column to storybook?
Well, it actually was Jeff's idea. So let me just take a step back and say that the illustrator on the book is Jeff Price, and we were friends. We worked at Channel 2 together many years ago. And he came to me and he said, Diane, I want to work again together on a story that I had based on something that happened to me. So Jeff was born in a small rural town in Pennsylvania, and his family and he were very different. And he loved art and music and books, and his parents liked to hunt and fish and that sort of thing. But more importantly, he had red hair, and he was the only one in his family with red hair. So they used to make fun of him and bully him quite a lot that he didn't fit into his family. And the awful thing they said to him was, you were pooped out of a red crow and you don't belong in this family. And when he told me that, and I'd known him for years before he mentioned this to me, and he said, I want to write a story about that for kids. And I said, oh, we're going to do that story. Yeah. I was heartbroken for him. Yeah. And he suffered his whole life from a lot of the pain that he had in childhood. But what happens in the book, and what's interesting, Paige, is that almost everybody feels different at one time or another. It may be your family, it may be school, it may be church, wherever it is. And what do you do when you feel different?
Let's look inside the book as you share more about the story itself. Obviously, Rusty, he's the red crow. We see him here. Who are these other characters?
Well, Rusty, as you said, was born into a family of black crows, and they reject him. So he is so sad and lonely. He flies around the world meeting other animals and asking, can I be part of your family? But they start by saying, well, the giraffe says, you're not tall enough to be a giraffe. And the dolphin says, well, you can't swim, so you can't be a dolphin. And he gets negative response from all these animals until the end, when they realize what makes a family is not what your differences are, but that you love each other and support each other. So at the end of the book, they come together as a family, all these animals, and all the animals turn red to show Rusty how much they love him.
And you see them all there together. I think this is a message that, you know, could touch adults as well. I want to talk more about Jeff, because it's sad and heartbreaking to share that he died before the book was actually published. Can you tell me some of the conversations that you guys had, though, as you were working together and he was realizing that this story of his was becoming a reality and that it could help others?
Well, first of all, let me say he was a creative, he was just brilliantly creative and such an amazing artist. So as we worked on it, the big questions were, what color are the animals going to be? What are they going to look like? But he was so excited that he was going to be able to tell this story and share it. And you said something, Paige, that's important, because I've read this to a lot of kids, and parents have called me or emailed me and said how much their children loved it. But I've had adults come to me crying after they read it. They're in tears saying, oh, this touched me so much because I felt so different as a kid, or even as an adult, I had experiences where I felt so different. And the message really is, be yourself, and you will find the people who love you just as you are.
I love that, an important message.
It is.
I also love the illustrations, and Jeff did them himself, right? Can you describe his style?
Well, they're very whimsical and very colorful. He passed away, so I have to use past tense, but when I met him many years ago, he was the first man I ever knew who wore leather pants and orange shirts with his red hair. He was very flamboyant, if you will, but he loved color, and you can tell that in the book how much color he uses.
It's so vibrant, both the illustrations and the message. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Before I let you go, I always like to wrap up with this question. I think this is going to be a story that people, the readers, remember for years to come.
I hope so.
Hopefully generations to come. Can you think back maybe to a story from your childhood that still touches you, or maybe one that's out now, another author's work that you really admire?
Well, I have to say that I loved the Dr. Seuss books. There wasn't one in particular I loved the most, but I think it's because of the, like you said, vibrant and the rhyming scheme, and it was just whimsical, and I just loved all that whimsy.
They're timeless.
Yes, they are.
And I think this message is too.
Oh, thanks, Paige. I hope so.
Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for sharing this story with both us and, of course, the wider audience at home.
My pleasure. Thank you again.
We really appreciate you at home joining us as well. We hope you'll stay tuned here to KMOV's YouTube channel for our next episode of Turn the Page with Paige.